In this video, we're going to show you how to install parking brake shoes on your Volvo XC90 located behind your rear brake rotors. Using a 19mm socket, we want to get it loosened and remove our lug nuts. Grab that wheel, remove it, and set it aside. With the wheel removed, we're going to start by removing the anti-rattle spring here. Just going to use a pry tool. I'm going to go ahead and pop this out. Go ahead and set that aside. Now I want to go ahead and remove our brake caliper and bracket. We're going to do this all together. The reason for this here is that there were Allen slide pin bolts inside this rubber boot, and there's one on the top as well. But we can't get a tool in here to remove that slide pin to remove this separately. So we have to remove the caliper, and the bracket is one. And then once this is separated and pulled up out of the way, we'll have access to that slide pin bolt on the bottom. Now we're going to go ahead and use our 13mm socket on our ratchet. We need to get to the lower bolt down here. I'm going to reach it from up top with my ratchet. Okay, remove that lower bolt. And let's go ahead and get to the upper one. Now before we go ahead and remove this bolt on the top, we do want to go ahead and we're going to pop out our ABS wire here. There's just a little plastic retainer clip right here. Just push that up and off. Tuck that off to the side there. Now we're going to go ahead and loosen and remove this bolt using our 13mm. If you want to, you go ahead and pull the ABS wire out of this little grommet too. You just got to pull it straight up and out. Ours is not in the way, so we're going to leave it. I'm just holding this caliper and bracket in place up against the brake rotor while we remove this bolt. Remove that bolt, hold that caliper and bracket in place. Now we can go ahead and slide this off. If we follow this ABS wire back, we already removed this here. There's a little retainer clip on the side, a little bit further back, and pop that off the same way we did that forward one. I'm going to take our caliper and brake setup and set that here for now. Now I want to go ahead and remove our brake rotor. Now sometimes you're going to find a bolt holding the rotor itself to the hub. If you do not have that bolt here or screw, it's not critical to the operation of the brakes. Using our 10mm socket, we're going to loosen and remove that. We want to go ahead and remove our brake rotor. You might have to go ahead and use a hammer to go ahead and give this a bonk on the backside to separate it. Let's go ahead and do that. Now with everything disassembled, let's go ahead and clean this before we get further into the parking brake assembly. Using some spray solvent, clean this. The reason why we do this here is we want to rinse it of all of the brake dust material and have a fresh area to work on. Now on our parking brake assembly here, we have a spring, and this is a retainer spring. Now this is important how to understand how this actually locks into place so you can go ahead and remove it properly. Now right here in the center where the coil spring comes around, it comes out to one side and then it comes into the center of the coil, and then it goes straight back and in. Now the direction of where this coil comes inward, it starts from the right and comes in and then goes back. This, I'm going to use my Sharpie marker and draw it right on the top. This is going to represent this wire going in through the middle, and it's going to cut over and have a little hook on it like that. So when we go to remove this, we're going to push in on the spring assembly. There it is. And that's exactly what I drew for you on the top. There's that little hook. Now there's one of these on the bottom as well. Let's go ahead and remove it. Now I want to go ahead and remove this spring from the back side. Here's the parking brake actuator unit right here. Now we're going to use this tool here. It's simply a flathead screwdriver with a notch in the middle, and that is what we're going to use to capture that spring hook and pop this out. Now to get in here, we're going to tap this with a hammer to get in behind it. There it is. Simply releasing that hook. Unhook it from the top. With that front spring removed, we can go ahead and simply pull this off. There's going to be this bracket right here. Set that aside, and then we can go ahead and unhook our coil spring here. I want to go ahead and focus on our actual actuator right here. The back piece runs to a cable, and this piece here needs to pivot on this upper portion. Now ours is sticking a little bit, it's binding up, and you do want to make sure that we can free this up. You can hear it squeaking, so you know that there's friction going on here that needs to be addressed. We're just going to unhook this from the cable actuator. It's going to allow us to work this a little bit better. I want to spray this and work this a little bit. If you want to, you can use a bristle brush and just work this rusty garbage out. Already working so much better just by spraying that down, getting some of that rust out of there. Perfect. I'm going to spray it down with some solvent. Clean it all up. Wipe it down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little dab of grease inside here and see if I can work that in. Okay, I'll wipe off that excess on the outside portion. Now when installing the parking brake actuator, you have the cable end right here. Now, there's going to be an opening right at the front section, then there's going to be two little tabs bent over, and there's an opening on the back. When installing this hook, if yours came apart, which chances are if you worked on it, it popped out, you're going to take this hook and it goes in front of those two bent over tabs. Insert it in, and actually I'm pushing this arm up against the steel, and it should pivot in like so. You see it swing in, swing it in, and then push this up, and it'll lock into place. Before we install our brake rotor, we want to go ahead and make sure that the hub itself is clean and free of any raised rust and debris. I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of rust penetrant on here. Let that run around. I'm going to use a bristle brush. I'm going to work my way around here, breaking down that garbage that's on here. Now the reason why we're cleaning this here is that if you put your brake rotor on and it's sitting uneven, you're going to end up with a pedal vibration or pulsation even before you apply the brakes. So you want to make sure that this surface is nice and clean. You can see that rusty garbage coming off. Go ahead and use some spray solvent, clean that up. Go ahead and grab a rag, wipe it down, and go ahead and check that out. You can run your hand around there, check for any garbage on there. Ours is nice and smooth. We're going to go ahead and take our shoes here and start our assembly on the forward portion. We're going to take our spring, hook that, line this up, hook that. I'm going to go ahead and install our springs next. So there's our notch right here in the backing. We're going to feed this through with that J-hook, push it through that notch, and then I'm going to take the whole spring and I'm sliding it over. I'll go ahead and pop our spring out. Let's see if we can get this to shift enough to line this up. There it is. Okay, upper spring, lower spring, forward spring, and brace. That's all set there. Now we can go ahead and come back over here and get our actuator lined up and get that big spring installed. Now we want to go ahead and get our actuator lined up, get this lined up onto the notch on the lower shoe, and then we'll push this forward, push that together. Now this is the toughest part. You need to get the spring hooked into this upper hole and then the lower hole. You want to install the spring on the bottom brake shoe first. Then while holding that, I'm just going to use a flathead screwdriver, and I'm going to use the top of the wheel hub as leverage. And come in underneath this hook. I'm going to hold the spring on here and slide this hook up. With that lined up and set in the edge there, I'm going to use my other screwdriver with the hook, tap that into place. I want to go ahead and line things up here. Make sure that your brake shoes are centered. Everything is installed, all the springs hooked. Let's now go ahead and set our brake rotor on. I'm going to go ahead and put some anti-seize compound on this hub face. Go ahead and grab that brake rotor. What I want to do is go ahead and line this up. Get that into position. Locate our bolt hole here. I'm going to gently snug that down. Go ahead and rotate this. Just testing the parking brake shoes. Then I'm going to slide this over the brake rotor. With this in place, let's now install our caliper bracket bolts, starting with the upper one. Go ahead and get your upper bolt started. Kind of lift this up and wiggle it around so it lines up. Get it started a few threads. I'm going to do the same for the bottom. Just kind of line it up. It's going to have to get wiggled back and forth in order for that to line up. But go ahead and get that one lined up as well. Let's go ahead and pop a ratchet on there and we'll snug these down. Let's go ahead and get that lower one going. All right, we'll snug that down. Now we do want to go ahead and torque those down. So let's go ahead and get to it. I want to go ahead and torque these down to 26 foot-pounds. With those torqued in position, we can now go ahead and install our ABS wire. Just get those little plastic clips on. Install the plastic caps into the rubber boots. Now you want to go ahead and repeat this process for the passenger side rear. Go ahead and install your spring here. Line that up. Now at this point here, once you get this on, you want to go ahead and repeat this process for the passenger side. Before you install your wheels, hop into the vehicle, pump up that brake pedal, make sure that brake pedal feels nice and firm, and then you can go ahead and install your wheels. Go ahead and grab your wheel. Go ahead and get that lined up. Let's go ahead and get one of these lug studs started. Let's go ahead and get the rest of these started a few threads, then we'll come on back and snug them down. Let's go ahead and gently snug these down. All right, let's now go ahead and torque them down. Let's now go ahead and torque down the lug nuts to 103 foot-pounds. When doing this here, it's best to do it in a crisscross or star pattern.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.